Biblioburo, which is what the second graders have been reading with me and Mr. Squatrito this last week. So listen carefully, refresh your memories, second graders, so that you can help me when it comes to the assessment on it, because we're practicing being good test takers. Okay, Biblioburo, a true story from Colombia, written by Jeanette Winter. And remember, during this, we're thinking about how can people help out in their communities. Deep in the jungles of Colombia, there lived a man who loves books. His name is Luis. What, Hayden? You need to put your mask back on. Yes, but I think the first grader's a lot is read to you. So, thank you. As soon as he reads one book, he brings home another. Soon the house is filled with books. His wife Diana grumbles. What are we going to do? Eat our books with rice? Eat books with our rice? Luis thinks long and hard. At last he has an idea pop into his head. I can bring my books into the faraway hills to share with those who have none. One burro could carry books, and another burro could carry me and more books. Maximilian. Luis buys two sturdy little burros. He names them Alpha and Beto. Now remember, second graders, we had fun saying alfabeto is how you say alphabet in Spanish, right? So it's funny that he needs one alpha and one beto, because then it's alphabet, right? Just like biblioburo, isn't it biblioteca is a library in Spanish, isn't it? Yes, I think. And so biblioburo, the play on that. Troy, you are being very disruptive to those around you. So he builds crates to hang on their backs and paints signs Biblioburo, the Burro Library. Then Diana fills crates with books. Miss Amy, don't let that distract you too much. Every week, Luis and Alpha and Beto set off across the countryside to faraway villages and lonely hills. This week, they travel to El Tormento. When the sun burns high in the sky, Luis and the burros stop at a stream and drink the cool water. After they have their fill, Beto bulks. He talks about bulks as like to resist, to hold your ground, right? It's kind of like when my friends, when I give an assignment, you guys are like, no, that sounds scary and hard. And then we say, wait a minute, let's do some work, let's figure out. And then you're like, okay, it's not so scary, it's not so hard. I don't need to resist anymore, right? Luis pulls and pulls on Beto's reins, but Beto won't budge. The children are waiting for us. At last, the burro gives in and steps across the stream. The Biblioburo continued on its way over the hills until at last Luis sees houses below. The children of El Tormento run to meet him. Luis insists on reading a story before they choose books to borrow. Today, I have a surprise for you, he said. He reaches behind the books and pulls out a bundle of masks. Little piglets. Put on a mask and I'll read you a tale about pigs. Once upon a time. Okay, you need to put that chapstick away. You need to put your mask back on and quit playing, okay? When the story ends, it's time for everyone to choose a book. The children hold their books close as they say goodbye and walk home. Luis and Alpha and Beto head back over and around the hills, across the grasslands and streams, and into the sunset. At home, Luis feeds his hungry burros, and Diana feeds her hungry husband. But then, instead of sleeping, Luis picks up his book and reads deep into the night. And far away in the hills, candles and lanterns burn as the children read borrowed books deep into their night, too. All right, and that's the end of that story. I'm going to keep that open because we're going to want to reread and look at that as we go through our assessment. Okay, we're going to practice it together. Okay, so right here it tells me this one's about vocabulary. So we're going to read these carefully. What does the word insist mean? Okay, and we've got some answers, so we can see if there's any unreasonables that we can. And I'm going to see if maybe I can zoom in on this. There we go. What does the word insist mean? And we've got asks, suggests, demands, reminds. Are there a couple that you know for certain or not correct? Luis? Suggest, suggest is not insist. Oops. We're going to do that. Right next to it, there's like a little arrow with a circle through, and that crosses it out. So as I'm thinking about it, I can cross out those unreasonables. And then I can go back in my text and find where it says, right here. It's in yellow. Luis insists upon reading books, upon reading a story before they choose a book to borrow. He insists upon reading a book before they choose a book to borrow. Does that sound like asks? No, it doesn't sound like asks. Does it sound like demands or reminds? What do you think, Sophia? No, what do you think? It says he insists upon reading a book before they get to choose their own. Does that sound like reminds to read a book or demands to read a book? Demands. Do we agree? I would agree. Demands to read that book. He insists. Okay, save and continue. Which word means the land outside of a city? So let's go and see if there's any unreasonable answers. We've got countryside, neighborhood, district, or capital. So right away, I see one that I could eliminate. What do you got? Does anybody see one that you could eliminate, Sahedi? Right, absolutely. We know neighborhood is like inside, it's where you live, right? So outside of a city, and usually they talk about neighborhoods in cities, right? Is there another one that we could get rid of, Luis? We have countryside, district, or capital. What? Hayden, you have an idea? Which word means the land outside of a city? We have countryside, district, and capital left. And we were talking about we could eliminate one or we could choose our answer. What do you think, Hayden? Countryside. Would you guys agree the land outside of a city means countryside? She's actually correct. Countryside. Think about that. Outside in the country, right, is the district. That's usually just kind of like an area of land that's kind of mapped out by a city. Like that doesn't necessarily mean outside of the city. Capital is usually like a really important place, right? Like our capital city for Nevada is Carson City. And a lot of important stuff takes place there. So Hayden is actually correct. Countryside is the one that makes the most sense. Good job, Hayden. Nice work, girlfriend. Second graders, you just got schooled by a first grader. Woo-woo. Hey, don't argue. All right, what does the word villages mean? We have very small homes, very small towns, very small parks, very small cities. Could we eliminate a couple of those, Sadie? Okay, so you just want to pick very small towns? Would you guys agree or disagree with that? I see a lot of agree. I see a little bit of disagree. If we eliminated, we know villages does not mean very small homes. We know it does not mean very small parks. We'll eliminate, not answer. So we've got very small towns or very small cities. So we just need to use the word town or city. City is usually got a lot of, you usually kind of refer to that as like a bigger place is a city. Whereas towns are usually referred to as smaller, plus towns tend to be more in the countryside than cities do. Does that kind of make sense a little bit? Yeah, are you agreeing or disagreeing, Mr. Squatrito, or can you add to that a little bit? Like we're kind of talking about towns versus cities. Right, so cities are big. That's kind of what we. Oh, there's a little baby. No, honey. Have you guys all seen the signs and stuff?
Like jackpot's smaller.
Okay.
City is way bigger than jackpot.
So when you're using your hands to go big like that, it makes me think that you're thinking height.
Like taller.
Taller buildings.
I like that.
But no, it's just big size wise.
Here's what I'm gonna say. Jackpot, Cactus Pete is taller than any building up in Twin Falls.
Or at least.
No, it is. There's no telling in Twin Falls that is taller.
Okay.
They're close, but Cactus Pete's is taller. Okay?
But more.
So we can't think of height, okay, as being big. We have to think of size, as in how many people, how many buildings.
How much area the town takes up.
How much area it takes up, okay?
So you're totally correct in that like towns are smaller. Like Jackpot is a small town because, it doesn't take us very long to drive through Jackpot, does it? Okay, but like Twin, you call it the city of Twin Falls because it's bigger. There's a lot more area. It takes a lot of time to drive through Twin Falls, right? And if you guys have noticed the signs in Jackpot, or if you got those masks that were given out, they say the town of Jackpot, okay? Because Jackpot is smaller. So,
and another, I'm just kind of thinking.
I just don't want to spend too much time.
Another idea is, does Jackpot have a hospital? No.
No, we have a little clinic. We have a clinic, not a hospital. So anyway, villages is going to be like Haiti said, town, small town, not a small city. But I like that we are able to eliminate. We know a village is not a house. We know a village is not a park. So then we just got to talk about the two important answers and see which one of those made sense. So I like that we were able to do that. Okay, which word means from one side to the other? We have around, behind, across, or below. So right away, I could eliminate from one side to the other. Does that mean below? No, below would mean like under.
Sit on your.
Okay, so now we have around, behind, or across. So from one side to the other, does that mean behind? No, that means like, right, if somebody's standing behind you in line, they're standing after you. So we can eliminate that one. Okay, so then I just have around or across. I have two more reasonable answers. Which one makes the most sense? Samuel, what do you think? You think across? Do we agree? I think that's a very reasonable answer. Very nice, Samuel. Around means kind of you're going in a circle. So across from one side to the other. Which word means take as a loan? Okay, so take as a loan. Buy, return, change, or borrow. Okay, does anybody know what a loan means? Right, if you would loan someone something, does that mean buy, return, change, or borrow? What do you think, Luis?
Buy, return, change, borrow. What does loan mean to you?
No, not a loan,
Just
not a loan, but loan. So let's see if I can find that in the story. If I can find it in the story. I don't know. Oh. So it's the definition, or it's another word for this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know, the word buy is not in the story unless it's at the very beginning, like he buys too many books. No, he reads books, he's filled it. So the word buy is not in the story. Return is not in the story. Change is not in the story, but borrow is in the story. It's one of our yellow vocab words.
And we spent a fair amount of time.
Borrow. Okay, and it says before they choose books to borrow. And what does borrow mean? What does borrow mean?
Borrow means like borrowing something from a store or from a friend.
Okay, so if you borrow something from a friend, does that friend mean that you can keep it, or does that friend want you to give it back? So if I say, Elizabeth, you can borrow these scissors for a minute, do you think I want you to keep them, or do you think I want you to give them back?
So,
Then I will give it back.
Right?
so the way that I explained it when we were going through the book, can anyone remember? I was talking about what, Troy?
Right, so they're talking about Luis's library, the Biblioburo, okay, where just like our library, do you just check out those books and get to keep them forever? Or do you get to borrow them, which means you check them out for a little bit of time and then you give them back? Right? And so,
Do you second graders remember what Troy was when we talked about that?
kind of, okay. So that's going to be the answer. Take on as a loan. A loan, and you guys may have heard your parents even like use a word like, I'm going to need a loan to buy a car or something. And that's money that you have to borrow and pay back. Okay? So I might loan you guys, or Miss Civils might loan you a pair of scissors in art. You are not supposed to take those scissors. So that's just for you to borrow and give back. And that's what we had a problem with the other day, right? We had to go through desks and try to find a bunch of Miss Civils scissors. Because for some reason you guys thought a loan meant you got to keep them forever. A loan does not mean you keep it forever. It means you borrow it and then you give it back. So those scissors Miss Civils let you guys use, Those are a loan. You get to borrow it and then give it back. All right, so let's finish this up. The next one, which word means unhappy from being alone? Unhappy from being alone. So let's see, I think the word alone is really important here. So when we're looking at our other choices, let's think about the word alone. Lively. Lively. Does lively sound unhappy? No, I'm going to eliminate that one. Lonely, busy, and special. So do one of these words sound a little bit like this word? Which one, Miranda? Lonely sounds like alone. It has the word alone in it, or alone in it, right? Like part of that, right? Unhappy from being alone, that wouldn't be busy. Unhappy from being alone, that wouldn't be special. Lonely is the only reasonable answer. Save and continue. What does the word idea mean? Thought, game, voice, or sound? Oh, Louise? Thought? Do you guys agree? Agree. Thought. Idea means thought. Save and continue. Which word means answer? Answer. So remember, sometimes it might ask you the opposite. This does not ask the opposite. It says what word means answer. Question, thought, problem, or solution. Now, we actually talked about this one yesterday, first graders. Whoa. So let's see. Is a question an answer? No. You ask a question, you want an answer. That's not an answer. Is thought an answer? No. Thought is not an answer. Thought is your idea, as Louise just said. Problem or solution? Which one is the answer? The problem or the solution? Sophia, what do you think? Solution. Very good. Agree. First graders, we talked about that yesterday. What is the problem? And then what was the solution? The problem, and then the solution is the answer to the problem.
I was going to say that.
Very good. Okay, so we're done with this section. So we're going to continue to the next one.
What?
All right, so now we're comprehension. So now these are questions about the story. How does Luis solve his problem of having too many books? He lets people take them. He takes them to a library. He hands them out to his neighbors, or he brings the borough library to faraway villages. Oh, I like that I have so many hands. Rudy, what do you think?
But he brings the borough library.
Ding, 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 ding. Confetti, confetti, confetti. Right? That's exactly what happened. Who helps Louise? Who helps Louise take the books to faraway villages? Diana, his wife, 2 burros, a bandit, which is like a thief, or a horse. Oh, Danny? So who helps Louise take the books to faraway villages? Diana, his wife, 2 burros, a bandit, or a horse? Really? His wife traveled with him? Oh, we disagree. Samuel? 2 burros, right? We saw those burros, man, in all the pictures, too. What problem does Louise face at the stream? Alpha balks because the sun is too hot. Louise does not want to drink the water. Beto does not want to cross the stream. The burros balk and the books falls in the water. Okay, are there a couple? Whoa. Okay, I don't know why you're running over there, Troy. You should not be touching that. All right, there's a couple of unreasonables. Does it talk about Louise not wanting to drink the water? No. Does it talk about the burros balk and the books fall in the water? No. So now we have alpha box because the sun is too hot, or beta does not want to cross the stream. What do you think, Sophia? Right? And well, for some reason it says beta, but it's beto. But you're right. And it tried to trick us because it used the word bulks, which was in the text. But if we read the text, it says, after they have their fill, beto bulks. Okay? Luis pulls and pulls, but Beto won't budge. And it's, if we look at our picture, he doesn't want to cross the stream. Right? So I think that they just have the wrong word, or they have the wrong vowel at the end of that. He does not want to cross the stream. We're almost done. At the end of the selection, how are Luis and the children in the hills alike? They are sleeping soundly. Well, was Luis sleeping soundly? No, what was he doing? At the end, what was he doing? Anaya? He was reading his book. Okay, they are giving their books away. Do the kids go and give their books away? No, so I can unlimit that. They are sharing their books with others, or they are reading their books late at night. Which one would be correct? Louise? Is that what you think, Ashlyn? They're reading their books late at night? Agree. Save and continue. What lesson did you learn from the story? Children do not like books. Did we learn that lesson? No, we can eliminate that right away. Burros are trustworthy animals. One person can make a difference, or gifts come from the most unlikely places. Did anybody give a gift, really? No, I don't think so. So probably burros are trustworthy animals. Do you think that's the most important lesson in the story, or one person can make a difference? Stop, we're not. What do you think, Ashlyn? Troy, what do you think? You agree with that? Yeah? One person, probably, like, burros are trustworthy animals is probably not the lesson they want to teach us in the story, right? That's a cool fact that maybe we learned about, but okay, now we would say, oh, look, we answered all the questions. Yeah, we're feeling good. Finish and turn in. We successfully submitted 100%. Woo-hoo. So when we read carefully, okay, and then notice this too, you guys, when you're totally done after I graded or whatever, you could always go back and look at the answers too to make sure that you what you got right and what you got wrong. Okay, so that was our little experiment there. We had fun doing that. Okay, so you guys have your own assessments now. Okay, I want you guys to practice some of the strategies we just did by rereading and looking back in the text, finding unreasonable answers and eliminating them. But first, before we do that, we are going to take a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a break, because you guys were working hard. You guys were very awesome. I appreciate first and second graders' hard work. That was great. So we're going to stretch, we're going to dance, we're going to do a little bit of a boogie. And then you guys will go on and do your assessments, okay? You guys at home too, we're going to get our boogie on. Okay, let's see. What?
Can we do the band says freeze?
Healthy music for a child's heart, body, and mind.
It's so loud. It's so loud.
Shake
All
your citizens
right, so that
from
was
the
our
award-winning CD,
practice
Kids Country Song and
for
Dance.
assessments. Now we're just going to take a break to shake it out.
We're gonna shake, shake, shake.